Hi, this is Chef Kathy Homeyer from the Lake Clear Lodge. I am the executive chef there as well as co-owner with my family. And welcome to Module 2. This is sponsored by Adirondack Action as well as these beautiful veggies from Whitten Family Farm. So I was going to show you what I got in kind of my box this week, which should be the same as yours. We're kind of into late spring right now, so we're looking at what's still available. It's been rainy, so obviously what you get is kind of a little dependent on the weather and what's growing real well. But just wanted to go over a few things really quickly. I have some more resources in with Module 2 that will go along with this, but I want to show you a little bit of what I've got and different kind of how I approach them personally. So okay, so last week we mentioned asparagus and we had some asparagus recipes. This week there were some beautiful purple ones in there too, and if you read the color of foods, then purple and blues are the ones that you want really well. I did mention to cut off the tines with a knife, but I wanted to also let you know another way to do that obviously is with a potato peeler if you want to cut off the big tines, right? The big scales on an asparagus. And then you'll take those off. For smaller ones, like this little one, they might not be as imperative. I like to take them off, but you don't always have to. Asparagus, great fried, sauteed, just with butter, that's all you need to do. But also, I am gonna make some asparagus soup this week since I have some more asparagus. So I hope you think of all the variety of things that you can do with the asparagus. Okay, the kale, oh my goodness. Always wonderful, kind of the new superfood that people use. But as usual, I use everything, I try to use every part of the vegetable. So you have this kale, but it has a large stem, right? And some people might either take the leaves off and use them and throw out the stem. Well, that's not what I do. I take the leaves off, but I also save the stems, because what I'll do is put them right together, and then I will cut these all together, make little, I'll hold them up in a sec. I cut them up, and you have little pieces, little diced pieces, and I'll put them again in my soups and sautés or wherever I might want a little garnish. Sometimes in the restaurant when we saute wurst, I'll put them in as a garnish and a green in that. So don't throw out any part of the vegetable that you think you can use. Kale again is a brassica. It's considered a brassica, a lot like cabbage and turnip. A lot of people use it in salad raw. I personally don't recommend that. It really should be cooked, or at least wilted a little bit, in order to really get the digestible nutrients out of it, I should say. And also what we do in the restaurant is, it's a beautiful green anyway, but I have a pot of hot water here, so if we use this as a garnish or even in a salad, I don't know if this is still hot enough, but I'm gonna dip this right in this hot pot of water. You can see it turn from a pale green, it's a normal green, to a very vibrant green. So it's really kind of cool. And let's try it with some more. So you can see there are different kind of kales here, different leaves, but you can see the leaves, and if you put them in the hot water, and if you're gonna do this, obviously keep the stem for a while. So obviously the stem is a good thing to have in your water, but it will turn just a brilliant green, and you can either wilt it that way to eat it raw, like I said, or use it as garnish, but that's kind of a trick that we use to make it really pretty when we want to put a garnish on the plate. Okay, again, you might have a little bit of green kale, some of the purple colored kale. Just mix them all in, use all the colors if you looked at your colors of food. Lettuce, beautiful lettuces. Obviously that's kind of self-explanatory. Cut off the stem and use it for salads. But with the larger leaves, obviously don't forget that you can use these as a wrap for chicken salad, egg salad, any kind of veggie sandwiches. You can use these as a wrap. The bigger, save the big ones, use them as a wrap for sandwiches. So don't forget to do that with your lettuces. The lowly radish How beautiful are these? We have some beautiful radishes. Now, again, using everything, I would just cut off the stem. That I would either put in my compost, whatever, and I would take the leaves off, but I would keep these. You can actually make a pesto from just about any edible green. And you can do it with carrot tops, you can do it with radish tops. Now, obviously, typically pesto is more of an Italian thing with basil and pine nuts, olive oil, and garlic. But you can make just about any pesto with your beautiful Adirondack greens, or you can even mix and match to use them that way too. So there's a couple of recipes in there for pesto. Don't forget you can use just about any edible green, and don't throw those out. Okay, radishes again. Oh my gosh, we can use these. Saute them. Don't just put them in your salad, saute them. Or get a shredder and a grater and grate them into anything from coleslaw to salads to you know, something raw, something cooked. These are amazing cooked. I was really surprised when I started seeing sauteed radishes. It's amazing. And these will also end up coming in colors as well. So radishes not only are the kind of the red, white variety, obviously long, short, whatever, you can also roast them. So you can roast radishes and dip them in a garlic sauce. You do amazing thing with radishes. They're inexpensive, they're super nutrient dense, and they're wonderful, wonderful to have and kind of underrated. Scallions, again, you're gonna have. Use all of it. Use all pieces. Again, just cut off, you know, cut off your roots. Put them in the compost, but use every part of the scallion. These are good pretty much right off. I might take off the first one if need be, but I'll use it right from kind of root all the way to tip. And you can use them for different ideas. You can use them for different applications, different dishes. These are going to be crunchier on this end, nice and light on this end, where the stem is, of course. So just think about using the whole plant. Back to the kale a little bit before I forget. Now, if you have a lot, and if you're into dehydrating, or don't want to use them basically fresh or you know, even frozen, you can freeze kale. You can actually dehydrate them. Now, I have one, this is called a root medley powder. You can actually make your greens into a powder and then put them on dishes later on in the winter or fall or whatever. So I just want to mention that in case you're into dehydrating, or if you want to have you know, a plethora of greens you don't want to use in a certain way. You can do it with spinach, you can do it with a lot of different things. So I just want to mention that because that's an application that you can do as well. So to our spinach, we have some lovely spinach. You're used to probably larger leaves, maybe. These are right off the stalk, which is pretty cool. Again, use the whole thing. To put them, just saute them. It takes a lot of spinach to make a few bites, right? But I might take them a few inches off right there and keep those. But again, if I would keep this stem and put it in my soups, my stocks, my veggie stocks. So remember to try and use the whole thing. Now for herbs, we've got a few here that I just had in the box. Thyme. Smells really strong. Thyme, and actually both of these are not my favorite herbs, both thyme or sage. That's what I have sitting here today. Neither of these are my favorite, but they have great applications. So I just want you to know you could infuse them in oils. You can use them fresh off. Now, the thyme is going to have more of a woody stem, so if you put it in soups or stocks, just take out the woody stem later. The sage is nice and soft, bigger, you know, flatter leaves, but it's very strong as well. So take a look at those. I have a resource handout that tells the different properties of different herbs and different things to use them with. So one more thing is the butternut squash. Now, I have to tell you, I played around with this a little bit. Now, okay, so here's what we could do. You could put it in, you know, muffins, use oatmeal. I always use oatmeal in my muffins. Squash soup, right? A pureed soup, but you can also do a pudding. Now, I was a little squeamish on this, but I tried it this afternoon and it is actually wonderful. You can even tell your kids, hey, butternut squash is a butterscotch pudding. So I made one. And the other thing to mention just is if you have access to a lawn, to wild flowers, that sort of thing, don't forget to use those if they're edible. That's another thing to kind of look up. Kids can look up what are the edible wildflowers in the Adirondacks. But I made a butterscotch pudding out of the puree, and I kind of sat there making up my own recipe. So I'm going to try and write that down for you, or find one that you'd like. It doesn't have to take a whole lot of ingredients, or you can make it kind of complicated. But I love pudding. Anything with a little sweetness, a little smoothness with some heavy cream or whipped cream on there. I love it. So this was really wonderful. Don't hesitate to try it. Try it once. I made it more of a butterscotchy flavor, so it's not so squashy. Butternut is one of my favorite squashes, and I was still hesitant to try it. So try out some butterscotch, butterscotch butternut squash pudding. It's really interesting. Okay, now I have some more resources in there. If we found a way to do questions under the YouTubes, that's great. Or email me, and we can see if you're, have any questions about anything we've been talking about. Enjoy your boxes, and we will see you in another module.